Disney's feud with DeSantis continues, Vice files for bankruptcy, and more. It's Wednesday, May 3rd, and this is the AnimetaTV Newswire. In the latest salvo in the culture war battlefront between the Magic Kingdom and the 2024 presidential hopeful, Disney sued Florida Governor Ron DeSantis last Wednesday for what it believed to be a, quote, targeted campaign of government retaliation after the company expressed public opposition to DeSantis' so-called Don't Say Gay laws last year. In his lawsuit, Disney accused DeSantis and his supporters of illegally using the state government to punish a company for voicing an opinion that should be protected by free speech rights. DeSantis' personal war against Disney is something he devoted a whole chapter to in his recent book, The Courage to Be Free. Disney's lawyers heavily reference his remarks in the book as evidence of the Florida governor's orchestrated efforts to stifle the company's free speech. Efforts that have included creating a special Disney oversight board that minutes before Disney's suit on Wednesday voted to void away the company's development and construction rights in its properties near Orlando, proposals to raise taxes and tolls to get into the district, and even a proposed plan to build a state prison right next to Disney World. Moves that have caused concern for many living in the surrounding areas, as well as the hundreds of small to large-scale businesses who depend on the $20 million a day in international tourist revenue that come with being near the Magic Kingdom, along with the $1.1 billion in annual tax revenue it brings to state and local governments. On Monday, in the ultimate tit-for-tat, DeSantis' board announced that the state of Florida is filing a countersuit against Disney. DeSantis, a former Guantanamo Bay prison interrogation lawyer, who somehow was able to use that as a springboard to the Florida State House, is facing criticism on all fronts for this petty, short-sighted culture war in Tomorrowland, mainly coming from inside of his own party. Though it makes for a fun sideshow in an election race that kicked off last week with 80-year-old Joe Biden announcing his bid for re-election and capping the week off with the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Clearly confident he has the edge when his main competition seems to be from someone who's going to be too busy between shilling NFTs and defending multiple criminal charges to run a proper political campaign. Whether DeSantis' overzealous efforts to strong-arm Mickey Mouse will pay off in his uphill battle against Trump in the primaries is yet to be seen.
I had a lot of Ron DeSantis jokes ready, but Mickey Mouse beat the hell out of me, got there first.
In business news, the New York Times is reporting that Vice Media is filing for bankruptcy. The company that was once valued at $5.7 billion has struggled to find a buyer in a bearish media market that recently saw fellow former online media juggernaut BuzzFeed shutter its news division last month. 3 off-the-record sources claim Vice will be filing in the next 2 weeks. The company began as a Canadian punk magazine in the 90s and blossomed into a global media brand with a movie studio, an ad agency, an HBO show, and a global news organization. After investing hundreds of millions in Vice, Disney explored buying the company in 2015 for more than $3 billion, but that deal unfortunately never materialized. Vice seems to be yet another domino falling as the 2010s model for online media sees its decline. And lastly, a final thought on Jerry Springer, who passed away last Thursday at 79 after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer. Springer started off in politics as a disgraced former mayor of Cincinnati, Ohio, who infamously began his career in a scandal involving a bounced check to a Kentucky prostitute when he was on the city council in the early 70s. That didn't stop him from being elected to mayor in 1977 and launching a failed bid for Ohio State House in 1982 that ultimately saw him leave politics and go into broadcasting, leading him to eventually be at the reins of an American pop culture zeitgeist that some say was a low point in our culture. In a time before social media, when people had to fly to Chicago to be on a talk show to gain infamous notoriety, rather than freely just broadcast their train wreck lives on their phones for likes. But all Jerry Springer really did was hold up a funhouse mirror to America's culturally deprived sideshow, one that will continue long after he is signed off for the last time, always, in spite of the previously ensued ugliness, reminding us to take care of ourselves and each other. And that's the news. Hit that subscribe button and let us know what you think of today's stories in the comments.